As a therapist, I've spent countless hours in the quiet sanctity of my office, a space where truths are whispered and the intricate tapestries of human connection are unraveled. And let me tell you a secret. When it comes to sex, what men think women want and what women actually crave are often two entirely different universes. It's not about what you see in the movies. It's something far deeper, more nuanced, and infinitely more powerful. If you've ever felt like you're missing a piece of the puzzle, like there's a secret language she's speaking that you just can't translate, then lean in. Because today we're pulling back the curtain. We're going to talk about the things she desperately wants you to know but might feel too vulnerable, too embarrassed, or simply too exhausted to explain. This isn't just about technique or hitting the right spots. It's about unlocking the very essence of female desire. And the key, my friends, is almost never found in the bedroom. It's found in the hours, days, and weeks leading up to it. The biggest misconception, the myth of spontaneous combustion. Let's start by dismantling the biggest myth of them all, the idea that female desire works like a light switch. For most men, desire is often a primary drive. It can be spontaneous, triggered by a visual cue, a passing thought, and bam, you're ready to go. You see, the male sexual response is often like a drag race, 0 to 60 in a matter of seconds. But for a woman, it's fundamentally different. Female desire is not a switch. It's a slow-burning fire, and most of its kindling is emotional, not physical. Her desire is often responsive rather than spontaneous. This means she doesn't necessarily start with a roaring fire of lust. Instead, her willingness to go there is a decision, a conscious choice to open herself up to the possibility of arousal. For her, sex isn't just an act. It's a destination she has to feel safe and willing to travel to. Think of it this way. A man's desire might start at step 1, but for many women, desire is step 4. Before she can even feel desire, she needs to navigate through 3 crucial preceding stages: the decision to be open to sex, the feeling of emotional connection, and the beginnings of physical arousal. You have to talk and touch her into wanting it, not assume she's already there with you. A couple came to my office once, deeply frustrated. He said, "I try to initiate, and she's just not interested. I feel rejected." She, in turn, confessed, "He'll roll over and touch my breast after we've had a tense evening of not speaking, and he expects me to be instantly turned on. It feels like he just wants a body, not me." This is a classic disconnect. He saw sex as a way to reconnect after a conflict. She saw his attempt as a jarring disregard for the emotional distance between them. For her, the emotional bridge had to be rebuilt before the physical one could even be considered. This brings us to the most important and most frequently overlooked secret of female sexuality. The real secret, emotional foreplay, is the real foreplay. When men hear foreplay, they immediately think of the 10 to 20 minutes of physical activity right before intercourse. And yes, that's crucial, we'll get to that. But for a woman, foreplay begins the moment she wakes up. It's in the text you send her midday. It's in the way you listen to her talk about her stressful meeting. It's in the hug you give her when you walk through the door, with no expectation of it leading anywhere else. This is what we call emotional intimacy, and it is the absolute bedrock of a fulfilling sex life for most women. Without it, sex can feel hollow, performative, or like an obligation. With it, it becomes an expression of a much deeper bond. There are many forms of intimacy that have nothing to do with taking your clothes off, but they are all essential ingredients in her recipe for desire. Emotional intimacy. This is the big one. It's the freedom to share your deepest feelings, fears, and vulnerabilities without judgment. It's knowing you're a safe harbor. When she tells you about her insecurities or a conflict she had with a friend, and you just listen, not trying to fix it, just listening and validating her feelings, you are engaging in a powerful form of foreplay. You are telling her, "I see you. I hear you. You matter." A client once told me, "When my husband holds me after I've had a good cry and just says, 'I'm here for you,' I've never felt more in love or more turned on." Intellectual intimacy. This is about connecting over ideas, thoughts, and passions, sharing an interesting article and discussing it, talking about your dreams for the future, or even having a respectful debate about a topic you're both passionate about creates a bond of mutual respect. It shows her that you value her mind, not just her body. This kind of stimulation makes her feel seen as a whole person, which is incredibly arousing. Experiential intimacy. This is built through shared experiences. Traveling together, tackling a home renovation project, learning a new skill like cooking or dancing, or even just going for a walk and creating a silly inside joke. These shared memories create a unique history between you two. They become the us against the world moments that strengthen your team bond. When you work together as a team outside the bedroom, it makes being a team inside the bedroom feel natural and exciting. Conflict intimacy. This sounds like an oxymoron, but it's vital. Every couple has conflict. Intimacy is built not by avoiding fights, but by learning how to navigate them constructively. Can you disagree without being disrespectful? Can you listen to her perspective even if you don't agree? Can you both apologize and forgive? Resolving a conflict in a way that makes you both feel heard and respected can be one of the most powerful ways to build trust and, paradoxically, closeness. A fight that ends with a genuine resolution and a feeling of being understood can often lead to some of the most passionate make-up sex, not because of the anger, but because of the relief and safety that comes from reaffirming your bond. One of the most profound things a woman on a Reddit forum once wrote, which echoes what I hear from clients constantly, is that the pressure of knowing someone is touching you just to get to sex is a huge turnoff. If every hug, every back rub, every casual touch is just a preamble to an expected sexual finale, she will start to recoil from your touch altogether. She needs to feel that you crave her presence, her comfort, and her affection for their own sake. When she gets enough of that just because touch, she feels safe enough to be aroused regularly, instead of guarding herself against feeling like a means to an end. Decoding the physical. It's an art. Not a science, all right. Let's assume the emotional connection is there. The fire has its kindling. Now we can talk about the physical act itself. But even here, there are secrets that many men miss. The undisputed champion. Foreplay, foreplay, and more foreplay. I cannot stress this enough. For most men, foreplay is the appetizer. For many women, foreplay is the main course, and intercourse is the dessert. Sometimes it's a dessert she can even skip and still feel completely satisfied if the main course was spectacular enough. Why is it so critical? Physically, it takes a woman longer to become fully aroused. She needs time for blood to flow to her genitals, for the clitoris to swell, and for her body to produce natural lubrication, which is essential for comfortable and pleasurable intercourse. Rushing this process is like trying to drive a car with no oil. It's going to be painful, awkward, and eventually the engine will seize up. Emotionally, extended foreplay tells her that her pleasure is your priority. It communicates that you're not just trying to get your own needs met as quickly as possible. You're there to savor the experience with her. You're enjoying the journey, not just racing to the finish line. One of my clients put it perfectly. When he takes his time with me, exploring my whole body, it makes me feel like I'm a masterpiece he's admiring, not a task he's trying to complete. Cut. The map of her body. It's bigger than you think. Men are often visually oriented and focus on the most obvious erogenous zones, the breasts and the genitals. While those are certainly important, a woman's body is a vast landscape of pleasure points, and many of them are tragically overlooked. The neck and ears. The skin here is incredibly thin and sensitive. Gentle kisses, nibbles, and even warm breath just below her earlobe or along the nape of her neck can send shivers down her spine. The inner thighs and wrists. Like the neck, the skin here is delicate and packed with nerve endings. Lightly tracing your fingers or lips along her inner thighs, moving slowly upwards, builds incredible anticipation. The small of her back. A gentle massage or circular strokes with your fingertips on her lower back, especially near the tailbone, can be surprisingly arousing and relaxing at the same time. Her hands and feet. Don't underestimate the power of a hand or foot massage. These areas have countless nerve endings that connect to the rest of the body. Gently kissing her fingers or massaging the arch of her foot can be an unexpected and deeply intimate turn-on. The scalp and hair. Gently running your fingers through her hair and massaging her scalp releases feel-good hormones like oxytocin, creating a sense of calm and connection that is a perfect prelude to more intense arousal. The key is exploration and attentiveness. Pay attention to her reactions. A slight gasp, a quicker breath, her body arching toward you. These are your road signs. She's telling you non-verbally, yes, that, more of that. The command center, respect the clitoris. Here is one of the most straightforward, yet somehow still secret, truths of female sexuality. For 70–80% of women, direct clitoral stimulation is necessary to achieve orgasm. Let me repeat that. The vast majority of women cannot and will not have an orgasm from vaginal penetration alone. The clitoris is the only human organ that exists solely for pleasure. It has over 8,000 sensory nerve endings, twice as many as the head of the penis. It is the epicenter of her sexual pleasure. For decades, women were made to feel inadequate or broken if they couldn't climax during intercourse, a myth largely perpetuated by a male-centric view of sex. The truth is, the vagina itself has very few nerve endings, especially in the deeper parts. The pleasure many women feel during intercourse often comes from indirect stimulation of the clitoris, as the movement of the penis can pull on the clitoral hood and labia. But for most, this indirect touch isn't enough. This doesn't mean intercourse can't be intensely pleasurable and intimate for her. It is. But if orgasm is the goal, the clitoris needs to be the focus. This can be done with your fingers, your mouth, or a toy, either before or during intercourse. A man who understands and prioritizes this is seen not just as a lover, but as a god. He is demonstrating that he has taken the time to understand how her body actually works, rather than how pornography tells him it should. The G-spot and beyond, it's all connected. You've likely heard of the G-spot, a supposed pleasure zone on the upper wall of the vagina, a few inches inside. Its very existence as a distinct anatomical entity is still debated by scientists. Some theorize it's simply the internal part of the clitoral network being stimulated through the vaginal wall. Regardless of what it is, many women do report intense pleasure from stimulation in that area. The best way to find it is to have her guide you. It often feels slightly rougher or spongier than the surrounding tissue. Using a come-hither motion with your fingers can be effective. But again, don't make it a frantic treasure hunt. It's part of the exploration. What's more important is understanding that her pleasure isn't compartmentalized. The clitoris, the G-spot area, even her cervix can all be sources of pleasure. And for some women, even nipple stimulation can lead to orgasm, as brain scans have shown that it activates the same pleasure centers in the brain as genital stimulation. The secret is that it's all one interconnected system, and variety is the key to unlocking its full potential. The orgasm is not the holy grail. This may be the most counterintuitive secret of all for men, who are often very goal-oriented in sex. For many women, orgasm is not the be-all and end-all of a sexual experience. Yes, orgasms feel amazing, but a sexual encounter where she feels deeply connected, cherished, desired, and safe, but doesn't have an orgasm, can often be more satisfying to her than a quickie, where she has a perfunctory orgasm but feels emotionally disconnected. Too much focus on making her finish can create performance anxiety for both of you. It turns a beautiful, intimate act into a mechanical task. She might even feel pressured and fake an orgasm just to end the pressure and not hurt your feelings. Something an astonishing number of women admit to doing. The real goal shouldn't be her orgasm, but her pleasure. If you focus on her pleasure throughout the entire experience, the way you kiss her, the way you touch her, the words you whisper, the orgasm will often happen as a natural byproduct. And if it doesn't, she will still feel adored and satisfied, because the entire journey was filled with pleasure and connection. The unspoken language. How to talk about sex without making it. Awkward talking about sex is more vulnerable than actually having it. It's where our deepest insecurities and desires come to the surface. It's no wonder so many couples avoid it. But bad communication about sex is often a sign of bad communication about everything. If you can learn to navigate this conversation, you can strengthen your entire relationship. Here's how to do it. Timing is everything. Do not, I repeat, do not try to have a serious talk about your sex life right before, during, or immediately after sex. That's like trying to critique a chef's recipe while they're in the middle of a frantic dinner service. The best time to talk is outside the bedroom when you're both relaxed and not rushed, on a walk, over dinner, or just cuddling on the couch. Use I statements. This is the golden rule of communication. Instead of saying, "You never go down on me," which sounds like an accusation, try, "I feel really desired and connected to you when you kiss me there." I would love it if we could do that more often. The first statement prompts defensiveness. The second invites collaboration. You are taking responsibility for your own pleasure and sharing what works for you. Start with the positive. Always begin by telling your partner something they do that you love. I really love it when you... This makes them feel appreciated and more open to hearing a suggestion. It frames the conversation around maximizing pleasure, not fixing a problem. Sharing fantasies, the right way. Sharing fantasies can be incredibly hot and a great way to introduce novelty. But diving in with your most extreme fantasy can be intimidating. The best advice is to start low and go slow. Begin with something relatively tame and see how she responds. Make sure to tell her what role she plays in your fantasy so she feels included, not replaced. You might be surprised to find that your fantasies are more normal than you think. Most fall into common categories like multi-partner sex, rougher sex, novelty, and deeper emotional connection. Sometimes just sharing the fantasy is arousing enough, even if you never act on it. Learn to listen. This is the hardest part. When she talks, really listen. Don't spend the whole time formulating your rebuttal. Park your own emotional response and be curious. Ask questions like, "Tell me more about that." Try to put yourself in her shoes and accept that her reality is just as valid as yours, even if it's different. The afterglow, the minutes after matter. Just as much for many men after orgasm, the show is over. The body is flooded with hormones that induce sleepiness, and the natural instinct is to roll over and drift off. For a woman, this can feel like being abandoned on the dance floor right after a beautiful waltz. The moments immediately following sex are a crucial and often missed opportunity for intimacy. Research has shown that couples who cuddle, kiss, and talk affectionately after sex report greater sexual and relationship satisfaction. This post-sex connection is what solidifies the emotional bond that was just expressed physically. It tells her that the act wasn't just about physical release for you. It was about closeness with her. A simple, "That was amazing," while holding her, stroking her hair, or kissing her forehead can mean the world. It turns the period at the end of the sentence into an ellipsis, suggesting that the connection continues long after the physical act is over. Conclusion: the art of seeing. Or if you've made it this far, you've realized the secret to what women want from sex isn't a secret technique or a magic button. It's much simpler and yet much more profound than that. She wants to be seen. She wants to feel that the person she is sharing her body with is also connected to her mind and her heart. She wants to know that her pleasure in all its forms is a landscape you wish to explore, not a mountain you need to conquer. This isn't about adding more chores to your list or turning sex into a complex formula. It's about shifting your perspective. See every interaction as part of a larger continuum of intimacy. The good morning kiss, the supportive conversation, the shared laughter, the tender foreplay, the passionate act, and the gentle afterglow. They are all interconnected threads in the same beautiful fabric. When you start to see it that way, you stop trying to give her what she wants and start naturally creating the kind of connection from which incredible sex is born. And that truly is the most fulfilling secret of all.